Let's dive in right into the deep end now. This is an unfortunate reality. So far this year alone, in 2024, an estimated 7,450 people in Washington will be diagnosed with breast cancer, and 960 will lose their lives to that disease. Susan G. Komen is providing support for those in need through research and financial help, all made possible by the funds raised at events like the More Than Pink Walk this weekend. Tyrah's down in the Arc Lounge with Beth Dotolo, a local breast cancer survivor and member of the Susan G. Komen Advisory Board. Hi, ladies.
Thank you, Steve, for that introduction. And Beth, thank you so much for being here with us on Arc Seattle.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, and I love your outfit. I was mentioning you're dressed the part for this morning for sure. A little bit about your background here. You're a breast cancer survivor. Can you first just tell us about your journey with this disease? We know it impacts so many people, and how are you doing today?
Yeah, well, I actually had breast cancer just last year.
Wow.
And when I was diagnosed, I have a huge family history. And so, my mom passed away from cancer. My grandmother had breast cancer. And so when I was diagnosed early because I was very proactive about getting advanced screening. So I knew I was one of the lucky ones because I knew it was caught early, and I knew that it was something that I could tackle. And so, as soon as I was done with all my treatments last year, I just jumped right into fundraising for Susan G. Komen because I just wanted to give back because I really felt so lucky. And so today I feel good, I'm doing great. I'm on the watch and monitor stage of the journey, so it feels good. So I'm feeling good giving time to give back.
I'm glad you're feeling good physically and feeling good back as well. And just briefly, you mentioned something, your family history, and you were doing routine screenings. Did you find out that you had cancer just through those screenings, or was there something that alerted you at home before you went in?
No, it was the screenings.
Okay.
And so, because of my family history, when my mom was diagnosed with cancer and then we knew her time was limited, I was like, I'm not going to get caught with a cancer that's caught too late. I want to find out. So I started going to my doctors. I asked for advanced screening. They told me my insurance wouldn't cover it. And I said, well, how do we get the insurance to cover it? So I really, really, really had to press. And so finally I was able to get both an MRI once a year and a mammogram once a year. And so the MRI is actually what caught it. It didn't even show up in the mammogram.
Goodness.
So I think just having to advocate for yourself is so important. And one of the things I tell everybody is, like, don't be afraid of the answer. The answer, even if it's bad news, can be the difference between, your treatment journey or your life. So, I'm here today and I'm feeling great because everything was caught early. It was bad news, but we got through it.
Glad that you went in, and that is great advice. Just do it, don't neglect your body. And more advice now. If someone is experiencing breast cancer or has a loved one diagnosed with it, what other advice do you have, and how can they rely on the Susan G. Komen organization to help?
Yeah, well, I would say, if you have a loved one diagnosed, the best thing you can do is just be a support, not be too much in their business, but just continually let them know that you're there for them if you need them. There's a lot of women who work and, need meals or need transportation, but the beauty of Susan G. Komen is that that's one of the things they take care of. So they have a financial assistance fund for patients that go directly to the patients, no questions asked. If they need meals, rides, transportation, they can cover whatever they need to cover during their treatment. They also have a patient, a patient assistance where you can go be paired with someone who's trained that can help you navigate your journey, which is so important. And then they do so much for research, and I think that's the biggest thing. Like my situation, I have a gene that they think hasn't been identified yet because I have so much of my family, but we need research to cover that. And Susan G. Komen is the largest funder of breast cancer research outside of the U.S. government, and so funneling money into that is really helpful. But I do have a funny story about how Susan G. Komen helped me specifically.
Oh, great.
Is that I actually found out I had cancer by a MyChart notification on a Friday evening.
Okay.
And so I was like, well, who am I supposed to talk to about this? So I had to wait for like 3 days to speak with a doctor having that information.
Probably felt like an eternity.
Yeah, totally. So I went to the Susan G. Komen website, and their resources are so vast. I was scouring, I was like a web doctor. I was like,
Wow.
I just needed to find information because you know you need to be able to get information when you get news like that. So Susan G. Komen was my resource for that, and so that's one of the reasons too why I wanted to give back, because I found so much information on their site that I was like, this is a cool organization that cares about a lot of things and is doing a lot of great things in the breast cancer world.
It's good to know the education and resources are so readily accessible
Yeah.
online, and I'm glad that you were able to get your hands on that on a Friday night, 'cause there's no doctor on a Friday night, right?
Nope.
So there's a big event happening this weekend. Tell us more about the More Than Pink Walk at Woodland Park Zoo this weekend, and how the funds are going to be used to help people in situations similar to yours.
Yeah, so the More Than Pink Walk is this Saturday. If you want to register, you can go to komen.org/Seattle Walk. And it is such a touching event. I went for the first time last year. I actually spoke at the event.
Wow.
And it was the most moving part of my journey, because it was like I had just gone through it and I was on the other side, and there were so many women who have like metastatic breast cancer and like have really gone through it, double mastectomies, and just to be there in a field of pink in the Woodland Park Zoo is just so inspiring. There's a parade of hope, there's a survivor carousel ride, but it's just so great to see the community coming through and raising funds for, you know, this organization, because the fact of the matter is that last year Susan G. Komen actually poured more money into our community than we raised.
Wow.
So we need people to help us raise funds so that we can continue to give back to this organization, to drive research and to drive the patient fund. I mean, there are so many women and men too who there's male breast cancer
Absolutely.
too who need this this organization to come through for them. So we need to
so
keep driving
critical.
funds. Yeah.
Especially the financial aspect of it, you know, it's obviously very costly as well.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing your experience and your journey. We're so glad that you're feeling okay.
Thank you.
And thanks for giving back too. I know a lot of people at home watching, probably impacted by breast cancer as well, inspired by your story.
Thank you.
Yeah. Steve?
Yes, certainly want to thank Beth for sharing her story and all the great work that she's doing with the Komen Foundation. Thanks, ladies. To learn more about the More Than Pink Walk and to register, we made it easy for you. Just scan that QR code that's popping up in the corner of your screen. That will take you directly to KOMOnews.com/hotlinks. From there, you'll find a link to the event website. You can also learn more about the important resources out there by going to komen.org.